they hate our freedoms.
Well,
that's BS.
No, they hate the Western workplace.
Let me just say one thing.
It's so arrogant to tell them what they need. They have been 2 weeks away since Bibi Netanyahu said it in '96. He said it to George W. Bush. He said it to Joe Biden. He said it to Barack Obama. He's been saying they've been 2 weeks away since 1996 when my children were infants.
Wait a minute.
Joy, the fact that you're backing a country
democracy
that
is not like the
slaughters
United States of America.
homosexuals, that slaughters people for their religious beliefs.
In the United States,
it's crazy that you're
people
like,
who are
away.
LGBTQ people can't even serve in the military under the president you prefer.
Okay, but
they are. Oh, I'm
Don't
sorry.
get hung by
They're only a
cranes.
little bit. They're only a little bit discriminated against.
We're not killing
them. They're allowed. Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they're trying to get nukes, and probably Saudi Arabia is trying to get them, is because an expansionist power in their region keeps threatening them and actually bomb them. And the 16 intelligence agencies which assess this for a living, it is their only job, have already concluded that they were not attempting to.
Wait.
No. One other question.
Hold on 1 second.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. Reid absolutely dismantles these Republicans, literally left and right. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
This is, I don't want to say predictably what might have occurred as a result of this, but the victory lap that was taken this weekend did seem premature because there hadn't been a sense of what really happened here. And I want to just point out one key part of the reporting that she mentioned. So the stockpile of enriched uranium, according to 2 people, was not destroyed. One of the people that our reporter spoke to said that the centrifuges are largely intact. And another source says that the enriched uranium was actually moved out of the sites prior to U.S. strikes. So setback, but not an obliteration of the nuclear program or ambitions.
Well, this was never it was always going to be impossible for us to totally obliterate the Iranian nuclear program. But based on the 13 days of Israeli attacks, based on the U.S. attack, it's fair to say that the Iranian nuclear program has been pushed back significantly. Iranian capabilities have been degraded. It was never going to be one and done, and Iran is still standing, and they are going to do everything possible to reconstitute their capabilities.
I guess the point is that's not what Trump said.
Yes.
And that's not what the administration said at all.
It was always premature to say totally obliterated when all we knew that we had done is drop the bombs, but we didn't have any damage, any full damage assessment. And so Israel has done a lot. They've killed a lot of the scientists. They've destroyed a lot of the blueprints and the backups. I mean, there's a lot of degradation in Iran. But whatever happened, Iran was going to try to reconstitute. And it's very likely that Russia and China are going to try to help Iran reconstitute its deterrence. So this is always going to be whack-a-mole, and it will be whack-a-mole going forward. But I completely agree that this overstatement and hyperbole...
It's more than just overstatement, though, Jamie, because I think that the narrative last week when we were talking about this from the Trump team was the decision that Trump is going to make here is something that no other president has been willing to do. He's the only one who's been willing to act to stop Iran. But the truth is, he's not really stopping Iran. He's delaying Iran, which is kind of actually what all the other presidents did without dropping bombs.
This is an active victory for non-proliferation. Nothing has happened that's been this concrete in moving back the Iranian nuclear program. We knew they probably would move their mostly enriched uranium out of these facilities. Right now, we know they're a pile of rubble. This early assessment, we'll see how much of it proves to be right. It's 7 people inside the DIA who have leaked to CNN. Congratulations, you got your moment in the sun. There'll be more assessments that come after this, and then we'll get a true picture of it. But we do know that their 3 key sites are piles of rubble today. That is a step forward. It's good for peace. It's good for the United States.
I find it rather extraordinary that we are very casually having a conversation about the tactical success or failure of dropping a 3,000-pound bomb or 2 on a sovereign country that did not attack us. And we are failing to unpack or even address, as we're discussing whether or not it was effective how we bombed Iran, whether Donald Trump was correct in saying we obliterated their facilities, and not asking, why on earth is the United States bombing a country that did not attack us? What on earth are we doing there at all? And And why is it that there is this arrogance in the West and in the United States to say that we get to decide who can have nuclear energy? We get to decide that, and not just decide it, we get to act on it and drop bombs on a country that didn't attack us. We had no business dropping bombs on Iran. And so the question of whether the tactic worked or not, to me, ignores the fundamental moral question at hand. And I think that I'm not alone probably among Americans who are saying that this was something that we had absolutely no right to do.
But the Americans,
CNN might need to hire Joy Reid. They need to hire a few people. Tiffany Cross, there's a bunch of them. But anyways, she's completely right. This is the conversation these panels should be having. Who are we to be bombing another country? First off, with no evidence that they were developing a nuclear weapon, which is this supposedly the primary reason for them doing this. And again, if they were, they should be allowed to do it when they are surrounded by countries that do have them. Is that so hard to understand? It sucks, but this is just where we are. If you need a nuke to be able to deter countries from wiping you out of existence, then that's just where we are. It's not ideal, but hey, I'll tell you who didn't start this nuclear weapon insanity: Iran. In fact, this attack, along with Israel, I said this yesterday, first attacking them for no reason ensures that Israel nor us should be trusted. We had an agreement with Iran, and shortly after that, we get a new president and then bomb the crap out of them. Would you trust the U.S. if you were Iran? You got to be out of your damn mind.
Americans recognize that for 46 years, Iran has been at war with us, starting with the hostage crisis. They've killed thousands of Americans. They supported the war against us in Afghanistan. They've built proxies and they've destroyed multiple countries. Iran has declared war on the United States. Death to America was their mantra. The United States has been a nuclear power, obviously, since 1945.
And dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're the one country that did it. Let me ask you a question.
I want to address your
Why?
question.
And when the American people, American people understand that the United States plays an important role in the world. I am thrilled that the United States is trying to police the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Imagine what the world would look like if it was otherwise. And I think that to throw away our moral voice
would still be the only country that has ever bombed another country with nuclear weapons. And let me ask you one question. Why did the Iran hostage crisis take place?
So certainly,
I'm asking you why.
Fundamentalist radicals took over the government who hate the West.
Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, got to own their oil. And wait a minute, no, one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran for 26 years until he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you just said because they hate our freedoms. That's BS.
No, they hate the Western world.
Let me just say one thing, just to note, because Joy brought this up about what do the American people think. Two polls out today, a CNN poll, a CBS poll, both show that pretty large majorities oppose the United States bombing Iran, okay? 56% disapprove, 44% approve. Basically identical results in these polls. Not a whole lot of things right now get results like that, and it's pretty clear where they stand.
That probably also includes...
I can't believe it's damn near half and half. Half of this country has not learned their lesson and believe, yeah, this was a good thing. And again, Joy Reid is right. She has so much deep knowledge. And the point to that weird, creepy dude that just keeps smiling, death to America doesn't mean death to innocent Americans who are just trying to live their everyday lives. What are the stupid excuse to bomb another country, even if they did? Like, this is one of their tactics. They try to fearmonger. They do it to Americans here, black and brown people, all the time, and try to make you think that they're just naturally evil. That's just how it is. They just hate us for no reason and just genetically predispositioned to be terrorists. It's this racism wrapped in fake patriotism. I'm sorry, but as an American, can any of these morons put themselves in the position of an Iranian? Some country, the richest, most powerful nation in the world, just decides to bomb you because of some suspicion that they have. That same country talks about overthrowing your government for something that they see fit with this whole regime change crap. The Iranian people may despise their government, like much of us here despise ours, especially under this moron Trump. But best believe they do not want to be controlled or governed by another nation, especially this country and its history.
A lot of Republicans who voted for Donald Trump because he promised not to wage World War III, not to get us involved in foreign wars and forever wars. Look, we can debate the history, but we are where we are, right? And so I would feel a lot better because all of us around this table are old enough to have lived through a point in American history where we went to war and where foreign policy and military action was taken based on inaccurate, either purposefully inaccurate or negligently inaccurate information about weapons of mass destruction. I think it is important at this point for the President of the United States to be accurate, to be transparent, and to be deliberate. And yes, I know that bragging, exaggerating, bluster, and lying is part of Donald Trump's brand and his persona, but the American people and also the members of Congress who were supposed to get briefed today and that briefing got canceled at the last minute deserve transparency and deserve to know exactly what is happening here and what comes next.
Is anyone going to talk about the fact that there's a ceasefire? Is anyone going to bring up the fact that that Iran and Israel are not bombing each other as we speak? Is that not a victory?
Arthur, it is a very good question.
Less death going on right
Arthur,
now?
it is a very good question. I think people have been wondering why Iran reacted the way that it did to the strikes from over the weekend. Why did they telegraph to the United States that they were going to send missiles to those bases, that base in Qatar? And I think that some people are asking tonight whether one of the reasons is because they know that what's underneath Fordo and these other nuclear sites isn't completely eliminated.
No, this because they don't want any more bunker buster bombs dropped on Iran.
Exactly.
You know who said that MOP, the massive ordnance penetrator, you know who said that was going to be the #1 deterrent to nuclear Iran? Chuck Schumer. And he said it when Barack Obama was president, and he developed it.
Is that true? Is it actually true that it is the #1 deterrent? Because look, and I want to be clear, this assessment that we're discussing, it's preliminary. It will be added to by other intelligence agencies. There will be disagreement, as there often is, as you know, I know you know very well. So I don't want people to think this is the Bible, okay? It's not. But at the same time, is it not likely that Iran has already moved the enriched uranium, could just restart this whole thing in a year?
Well, this is not a story about one bomb. Iran's capabilities have been massively degraded over the last year and a half. Israel has done a remarkable job of destroying multiple armies, full armies. Israel has absorbed 28,000 rocket attacks, and this little David has defeated this massive Goliath, and that opened this opportunity for the United States. And yes, there is a sordid history, but the United States, since 1945, has basically guaranteed and overseen the greatest period of peace and prosperity in the world relative to all other points in human history. And the United States is
the Goliath is the United States. The United States did not start.
Versus Iran.
Did not.
Hold on. The murders of Tehran.
First of all, one moment. two nuclear powers, the United States and Israel, bombed a non-nuclear power, which under the Obama administration signed a deal to decrease their enrichment of uranium. They signed that deal under President Obama. Donald Trump came along, abrogated, and ended that agreement such that they could begin enriching again.
And with
Joe Biden came along, did not put that agreement back in place. Iran has been outside of that agreement since President Trump's first term. Did they in that time build a nuclear weapon? They did not. The 16 intelligence agencies which assess this for a living, it is their only job, have already concluded that they were not attempting to.
Wait,
One other question.
Hold on 1 second, just a second, because Jamie, I'm curious about this. What she just said was that since Iran is outside of the nuclear deal that Trump got out of, were they able to build a nuclear weapon in that time?
Yes, so the answer,
eight plus years.
Do they have a nuclear bomb now? Probably not. But here's what happened. As part of that deal, they were given money which went to all these proxies.
I understand that. I just want to be clear, because I think the point that she's making is that in that time, Iran has not actually, at that time, the talk was that they were weeks away, months away from building a nuclear weapon. We're 8 years later,
They've been weeks away since the 90s.
On May the 31st, the international.
Really quick, do you hear the metaphor that smiling freak said? I don't know his name. How the hell is Iran Goliath in this scenario? And Israel, the one bullying them that attacked them for no reason, is David. And this creep, the entire time he's been smiling at this. What the hell is so damn funny or exciting? It's been damn near 30 years of Israel saying they're close to getting a nuclear weapon. Where the F is it? It's just like the same nonsense with Bush. Again, if we do get evidence they are making a nuclear weapon, it's horrible. It sucks. But I get it. They're getting randomly attacked by the most powerful nation as we speak in the world. And a neighbor in Israel that just wants to wipe them out of existence. You know what would be great? Maybe if we had a deal with them that they wouldn't do this, that would be pretty good, right? If only we had a deal in place. Oh yeah.
Atomic Energy Association censured Iran for being out of compliance. They say they've not been truthful. They say they have undeclared nuclear material. They have nuclear material that's enriched to 60%.
But
why do they do that, Joy?
One of the questions about
one of
the questions about what the American people know and what they trust is, do we have a good understanding of where things stand in terms of Iran and a nuclear weapon? And I think to Anna's point, there's such a long history of Americans feeling misled. I think that
being misled, not feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Being misled. I think people are legitimately wondering, when you warn that this is weeks away, how true is that? And should we really be getting into a war because of that?
We know they have uranium enriched to 60%. Which you don't need for a civilian nuclear energy program, which, by the way, they don't need a civilian nuclear energy program
or a
anyway.
Space program,
in your view, so how arrogant to tell them what they need. They have been 2 weeks away since Bibi Netanyahu said it in '96. He said it to George W. Bush. He said it to Joe Biden. He said it to Barack Obama. He's been saying they've been 2 weeks away since 1996 when my children were infants.
Wait a minute, though, Joy.
He's saying that they're 2 weeks away.
Can I tell you what I'm also legitimately wondering about? This almost seems too easy. And in the same way that Donald Trump's 2 weeks to decide was a ruse, apparently, how do we not know that Iran's tepid response in sending the missiles to Qatar and telegraphing that they were doing so is also not some sort of ruse, and that this is, just beyond what we are comprehending, particularly because we have a president, a secretary of defense, and an entire administration that is telling us over and over again that their capacities have been obliterated, and that seems not to be the case.
The risk there is also that it doesn't come in a conventional form, and that there's, we've heard people Pompeo and others warning about sleeper cells. So, I mean,
Right.
I think the idea that everything is all great and there's no threat to the United States.
Exactly.
They already had a
It's been
sleeper
13
cells.
days of an unprecedented, successful, targeted attack degrading Iran's capabilities by Israel. It is a miracle.
Nuclear powers bombing a non-nuclear power.
It's
And you know,
great.
do you know
And
how
what
I
is-
know?
It's a strategic triumph by the United States is so much better off than
This
we
sounds
were.
like the
World
Iraq
safer.
War. You
World
sound
safer.
like,
Yeah, wait a minute,
oh my
wait a
God,
minute.
2003 wants its history.
I want to go back to
right now. We have
Back to the
this
neocon
fire.
argument.
Brad has been wanting to get in. Brad, go ahead.
Joy asked
Yeah.
a question earlier. She said, you allege that the United States has not been attacked by Iran. Iran backed militias that attacked United States forces 170 times in Syria, in Jordan, and in Iraq. You know who said that? Joe Biden said that. That's why he authorized F-15 strikes against Iran.
But by the way, Joe Biden is the same president who has allowed Israel in an unrestrained manner to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza. So I'm not sure that Joe Biden is who I'm looking at. I'm not sure Joe Biden is who I'm going to for the moral authority here. The moral authority here. And the bottom line here is the way that we know that Iran did not have nuclear weapons is that if they had nuclear weapons, Israel would not attack them. The reason they're trying to get nukes, and probably Saudi Arabia is trying to get them, is because an expansionist power in their region keeps threatening them and actually bomb them. And the bottom line, I don't think it's okay that Israel has nukes either. And so the bottom line is Israel does not even subject its nuclear weapons to the IAEA. And so my question is, should anyone in the region
But Joy,
have nukes?
this is not just about nukes. It's also about Iran being a state sponsor of terrorism and chaos and violence and death around the world. So I mean, there's that too.
It's huge. And no democracy. How about democracy? Why are we doing this? Because Israel has a democracy like the United States of America. Joy, the fact that you're backing a country
their democracy
that
is not like the
slaughters
United States of America.
homosexuals, that slaughters people for their religious beliefs,
in the United
them.
States,
it's crazy that you're
people
like, go Iran.
LGBTQ people can't even serve in the military under the president you prefer.
Okay, but they can live, they get married.
Oh, I'm
don't
sorry.
get
They're only a little
They can have
bit.
children.
They're only a little
We're not
bit
killing them.
discriminated against.
We're not killing them.
They're allowed to live, but they're not allowed to serve in the United States military. They're being persecuted. They can't have their stories told in school. The United States is not exactly a beacon of human rights for gay people.
We're going to hit pause.
The United States,
My friends, let's hit pause.
Republicans are so ridiculous. These arguments that they try to make. Like, he knows that she cares about LGBTQ, so he tries to use that as a point. A group that he supports, the Republican Party, who wish that that group didn't exist. And you're trying to act like, oh, yeah, well, we should bomb them because, you know, look how they treat LGBTQ people there. Like, this bald dumbass. Let me give him a more comparable example. What if that country or another country decided, hey, you know what? I don't like how Republicans or this country in general treats black and brown people. I think we should bomb them now. Does that sound good? Does that sound fair? Dumbass? I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this. CNN really should give Joy Reid a job. But please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.